The goal is to kind of get into this place where we are so grounded in self-love and self-belief that rejection isn't going to sway us in this direction of how can I change? How can I alter myself? What did I do wrong? If rejection makes us question ourselves and doubt ourselves and want to change ourselves, that might mean that we're showing up on these dates thinking, how can I make him like me? Rather than, do I like him? Rather than, this is what I have to offer. And if that's not enough, then I don't need this person in my life. They're just not worthy of my time. We want to be coming from that perspective of, this is what I've got to give. Now, what have you got to give? I'm sure you're such a special, beautiful person. I know that your friends and family would argue that. Remind yourself of that when you are on dates and you do feel the need to adjust who you are so they like you. I don't want you to adjust. I want you to be yourself. So then at least if you are rejected, you can say, actually, we just weren't going to connect in the end because I was myself and he didn't feel that, or they didn't feel that. I don't want you to pretend you're someone you're not, then get rejected and then be like, well, where do I go from here? I wasn't even being myself. I was trying to be this version of me that they would find most attractive, and even that wasn't good enough. If you're gonna get rejected, you might as well have fun doing it. Be yourself on those dates. Have a laugh, tell the stories you want to tell, talk about your accomplishments, take up that space and have fun. Hello beautiful friends, I'm so glad that you are here with me today. Take a deep breath with me now. Know that you are safe in my company and that you can do whatever you want whilst you watch this video. Drink plenty of water, do a drawing, plait your hair, whatever you fancy. This is your time. I think it's really important that I am very specific about how to deal with rejection as a woman. When you're a woman, you've been taught to please men from day dot. You've been socialized to come across as likable, as smiley, as desirable, as beautiful to everyone. It doesn't matter if you fancy that man. If he fancies you, then you're good. Then you're successful. And that is what you want to strive for in life, for everyone to be attracted to you. So of course rejection is going to cut deep for us women. We've been taught to be desirable to all men. We've been taught that that's our worth, that we are here to be these beautiful objects for men to fancy. So when we're rejected by men, we feel like our entire existence is kind of pointless. Oh, my job is to be this beautiful woman. I've put all this makeup on and I spent so much time trying to find the perfect outfit, and I went on this date and I said everything I felt like I needed to say. I smiled, I laughed when he made jokes, I made him feel completely comfortable, and yet he still had the audacity to reject me. Are you joking? You don't need to be a straight woman to kind of want that male validation, that acceptance from men, to want to be desired by men. I'm queer, and there was a time in my life when I only was kind of romantically and sexually interested in women. I didn't really want to be involved with men in that type of way, but I still craved male validation because I wanted to feel good about myself. I wanted to feel that, oh yeah, I'm amazing, I'm special. I wanted to feel that pizzazz, that energy, and I do realise men saying, she's attractive, she's the hot one, look at her, check her out. I realise that gives us such a sense of love and joy and excitement, but it's a fleeting sense of love and joy and excitement. It isn't a sustainable long-term solution. Male validation makes us feel good fleetingly, and we want that self-validation. We want to latch onto something that's going to make us feel truly fulfilled. Rejection is going to feel so much more painful if you're a woman who is interested, or rather obsessed with getting that male validation. It's going to hit harder, no matter the guy, no matter how much you like him or actually don't like him. Rejection is going to hurt you if all you want is for men to say, you're hot, you're attractive, I want to be with you. We kind of just want to be chosen, don't we? It makes us feel like, oh, I'm enough, I'm lovable finally, because a man chose me. Men's opinions are certainly put on a pedestal, so if men choose us, if they like us, if they show interest in us, it's kind of like confirmation to everybody that, hello, she's a good woman, she's a great woman, we need to celebrate her. But we can learn to truly love and validate ourselves and feel good because we are these wonderful friends and we're these amazing creators and we're doing good in the world and good for ourselves. I know that doesn't feel like the easiest or more, desirable way to feel good, but I promise you it's the best route to go down. Because if all you're relying on is men to go, oh, she's hot, then you're putting your worth in someone else's hands. Someone else is in control of when you feel good about yourself. I want you to be in control of when you feel good about yourself. I really don't want you to blame yourself, because I realise that we are taught from a very young age that outside validation is so much more important than self-validation. I was never really taught at school that if I'm proud of myself, then that's enough. I always kind of wanted to make other people proud of me. My parents, my friends, my partners, that always meant more to me, pleasing them rather than pleasing myself. If we're making ourselves happy, if we're making ourselves feel good in our existence in this world, if we feel that we're really tapping into our true purpose and acting in ways that feel really authentic to us, I think we should really stress to ourselves that that's the way to feel good. And I do believe that if we move away from, oh, I need this person to validate me, and if we move more towards, how can I validate myself, then rejection doesn't hurt as much. Obviously, we're social beings. We want other humans to accept us. It's part of our hardwiring, but rejection doesn't need to be this life-altering moment where you go, okay, this guy has rejected me. That means I need to change how I look. I need to start going to the gym more. I need to make sure that I don't speak about my opinions as much on dates. It doesn't need to be this whole transformation process. You don't need to change who you are because a person's rejected you. The goal is to kind of get into this place where we are so grounded in self-love and self-belief that rejection isn't going to sway us in this direction of, how can I change? How can I alter myself? What did I do wrong? If rejection makes us question ourselves and doubt ourselves and want to change ourselves, that might mean that we're showing up on these dates thinking, how can I make him like me? Rather than, do I like him? Rather than, this is what I have to offer. And if that's not enough, then I don't need this person in my life. They're just not, worthy of my time. We want to be coming from that perspective of, this is what I've got to give. Now, what have you got to give? We don't want to be coming from that perspective of, oh my gosh, what can I do to make sure that you stay with me and that you want to get into a relationship with me? It's really important to really identify what you bring to the table and what makes you special. I'm sure you've got so many beautiful characteristics that you've got to brag about. I'm sure you're such a special, beautiful person. I know that your friends and family would argue that. So write that list, be really clear on what you have to bring to the table, and remind yourself of that when you are on dates and you do feel the need to kind of adjust who you are so they like you. I don't want you to adjust, I want you to be yourself. So then at least if you are rejected, you can say, actually, we just weren't going to connect in the end because I was myself and he didn't feel that, or they didn't feel that. I don't want you to pretend you're someone you're not, then get rejected and then be like, well, where do I go from here? I wasn't even being myself. I was trying to be this version of me that they would find most attractive, and even that wasn't good enough. It's so important to be yourself. I know it's really easy to laugh at jokes that you don't find funny and to let the person opposite you do all the talking and ask them questions about their lives and kind of not take up any space. I think as women we've been taught to minimize ourselves and be quite quiet and to not take up that space. But you really deserve to do that, If you're going to get rejected, you might as well have fun doing it. Be yourself on those dates. Have a laugh. Tell the stories you want to tell. Talk about your accomplishments. Take up that space and have fun. I encourage you to reflect rather than project. Instead of projecting and saying, I need that man to fancy me, I need this date to go well, otherwise I'm going to hate myself and not feel good about myself. I encourage you to go, actually, I'm not going to project because that's out of my control. I can't determine whether this person is going to like me or not, because I'm not them. I'm going to reflect instead. How can I make myself feel appreciated and loved? Can I give myself some time to talk about how I'm feeling, maybe journal? What can I do for myself? That also gives you the power back. It's so horrible to always be relying on other people to tell you, oh, you're good enough, we like you. It's such a powerless, vulnerable position to be in. It's not nice to always be like, I need you to vocalize how much you love me, otherwise I'm not going to feel special. I'm not going to feel valuable. I'm not going to feel enough. You know, there's a point where we have to give that to ourselves. And again, I really realise as women, we're not taught to give it to ourselves. Heck, men aren't taught to give it to us either. But I really believe that we've got so much to give and we just need to acknowledge our inner strength, our inner beauty. And friendships allow us to tap into that inner beauty and explore it. So make sure that you're surrounded by people that love you for who you are and that allow you to express yourself. Also give yourself time to explore your passions and do the things that make you feel beautiful. I feel beautiful when I do these videos because I come from this place of, I care. I want to make you feel good. When I feel good, I want to share that with you. I feel beautiful because I'm coming from this place of love. So I encourage you to come from a place of love, tap into love in whatever way you can, through friendship, through poetry, through creating things, whatever you can use to feel beautiful from the inside. Lean into that because that is a superpower. Stop taking rejection personally. I understand it doesn't feel good when people don't want to spend time with us, when people distance themselves from us, especially if we become attached to them or the idea of them. I realise the tendency is to say, what's wrong with me? What did I do? What could I do differently? But sometimes it doesn't need to be this personal affair. Sometimes it's just the case that you are at a different time in your life to the person that you wanted to form a relationship with. I don't want you to become less powerful, less intelligent, less beautiful for somebody else. It's great that you are this beautiful, powerful being. And if someone's going to feel intimidated by that, let them, and let them reject you, but don't let them sow seeds of doubt in you. If you're a really passionate, opinionated, intelligent woman, likelihood is some men are going to find that intimidating and uncomfortable to be around. It's going to make them feel less than. It doesn't need to be that way, and it's unfair that it is that way, but that is not your responsibility. You don't need to take on that insecure man, and you don't need to reduce yourself down to make him feel comfortable. Rejection really doesn't need to be this personal thing. It doesn't need to be the sign that you need to completely change who you are. I'm going to give you this example. I went to this event. It was kind of like a friendship event. And I met this girl and I was spending a lot of time talking to her, and I kind of got stuck in a situation where I was talking to her the whole event and I didn't really get to talk to anyone else. And the energy felt slightly off. And I walked away thinking, what a lovely girl. I really hope that she has a nice life. But I don't really feel the urge to contact her or to stay in touch with her. I felt that we wanted different things from friendship. The activities that I am not drawn to, she was drawn to. It was just a mishmash of things that meant that we just weren't going to be compatible. It didn't make her a bad person, it didn't make me a bad person. She didn't need to change for me and I didn't need to change for her. We just weren't meant for each other. Sometimes we're just too different. And I do realise that, diversity is a great thing. I have friends that are very different to me, that I cherish and that I have a really good time with. But sometimes we just know we need to tap into that intuition and trust it and be like, actually, yeah, this just doesn't feel right. It feels off. And I'm not saying that the person that has possibly rejected you and led you to watching this video has intuitively felt something was off between the two of you, but I'm saying it's a possibility. And I'd much rather you tell yourself, something was just not right and that's fine, rather than I was in the wrong, I need to change myself. I'd much rather you focus on this narrative that lets you move on. Rejection is not in your control. And I know we can tell ourselves, if I dye my hair a different colour, if I talk less about myself, then maybe I could avoid that rejection. I know we could tell ourselves, rejection is in my control. I can do all these things and I can be the perfect dream girl for this person. I know we can convince ourselves that we can change people and we can change chemistry, but that's just not possible. That's not a thing. You can't avoid rejection. What you can do is you can be yourself and you can attract genuine, healthy connections with people, exciting connections with people that are actually going to enable you to tap into your true self. You don't just want to attract a partner, you want to attract someone that you're going to have a deep connection with, someone that's going to make you feel excited about life, someone who's going to inspire you, someone who's going to share good books with you and is going to have these exciting conversations with you. You don't just want the partner so you can say, I'm in a relationship. You want more than that, don't you? You want that person that's going to lift you up. You don't just want that partner. You deserve more, you know? Partners take up so much of our time and energy. So I think it's important that we don't just tell ourselves, I need to get into a relationship, I need a man to fancy me, I need to get that partner. I think it's important that we go, actually, I will reserve my time for myself and my friends and the things that are actually going to make me happy and benefit my life until someone shows up that is really special and that I am ready to put all my energy into, and I know they're ready to do the same for me. Then I'll let them in and then they'll make my life better. But until then, I'm not going to be going, I just need a partner. Being in a relationship isn't the answer to your problems and your insecurities. I also want to say, because this is something that I've done in the past, don't drop your ethics and your belief system to be attractive for someone. Don't laugh along at things that you find offensive. Don't agree with something that you feel in opposition with just to make that person feel comfortable. You want someone who's going to respect you and give you space to be exactly who you are. But if we instantly adjust who we are when we're on those first dates, when we're in the early stages of meeting someone and getting close to someone, if we instantly start altering ourselves to be more desirable for them, then we really allow this relationship to form where we become like half a version of ourselves, a version of ourselves that's a little bit less vibrant and a little bit less authentic. We're not going to feel good and fulfilled in those relationships. Over time, we're going to feel claustrophobic, we're going to feel limited, we're going to feel a lack of connection. So show up as yourself on those first dates when you're initially meeting people. Don't wish negative things upon the people that reject you. I realise I don't know the circumstance. In some cases, some people might be really nasty and might reject you in really painful ways, really unnecessary ways, and you do not deserve that. And I'm not telling you, you need to take the higher ground as the woman. No way. Boys won't be boys. Boys will be held accountable for their actions. That is not my quote, by the way. But yeah, boys will be held accountable for their actions. You don't need to take the higher ground, but I think it is worth taking the higher ground. I think if you wish bad things upon someone else, then you're thinking about the bad things, and those bad things also hinder you and your mindset and your quality of life. If you're thinking about revenge and if you're saying nasty things about someone, you're filling your head and your existence with this negativity. You're weighing yourself down. If you're spending all your time complaining about this person, you know, really saying quite nasty things about this person that rejected you, that's not going to hurt the person that rejected you, it's going to hurt you. You know, there's one thing saying, this is how I feel, this is how the situation made me feel, that's great. But saying, oh, he's ugly and he's silly and did you know he did this, and oh my gosh, I just checked his Instagram and he's following this girl, and oh, I think he's now dating her, that only fills your head with negativity and makes you feel demotivated and you unhopeful. So express how you feel and then allow yourself to move on. Don't spend your precious time worrying about somebody who didn't see your worth in the first place. You deserve so much more than that. Your time is so precious. Protect it. And use your words wisely, because your words really influence you and how you navigate in the world. Don't pretend that you're not feeling upset, that you're not bothered by this rejection. If you have been rejected and it has hurt you and it's made you slightly doubt yourself or made you feel a bit vulnerable, don't say, oh, didn't even bother me. Have you seen him anyway? I don't want that kind of chatter, because that's all bravado. That can make you feel maybe good in the moment, you can fake that confidence, but you don't get to heal and process your feelings if you pretend. If you pretend you weren't hurt by the situation. To process feelings, we have to feel them. And we can do that by talking about them, by being honest. We have to own what we're feeling and say it out loud, I feel, in order to express them and then process them, and then we can move on from them. But we don't get to move on from them if we pretend they're not there in the first place, if we pretend we were never really into them anyway. You clearly were into them because you were going on the dates. You were putting your energy into that connection. You weren't planning on ending it with them. You cared, and it's okay to admit that. It doesn't make you, an embarrassing or cringy or ridiculous person. No, it's okay to care about someone that doesn't care about you. That is life. It happens all the time. You are worthy still though. Just because somebody doesn't fancy you does not mean you're not worthy. You are. You're beautiful. You're kind. You've got friends that love you. You've got many talents that are going to take you places in life, exciting places. You are worthy. So express that outrage, that pain, that anger in a healthy way to someone who you trust. Allow yourself to cry and feel your feelings and let out those vulnerable thoughts to the people that you feel close to. Allow yourself to ruminate in those emotions for a moment, and then you will be able to move on without taking that resentment on in your dating life. If you don't get to fully express that pain, you might take it on to further dates with new different people. You might end up on your next date talking about how rubbish your last date was and venting about that person, because actually that resentment is still there and you don't want to be in that place. When you move on, you want to move on properly. You want to show up as your authentic self again, and you need to allow yourself to feel your feelings and that pain in order to get to a place where you're ready to date again and you're ready to be in that position. In that vulnerable position. It is vulnerable to show up and be yourself with someone in a romantic sense. To be like, hey, is this going to turn into a really close ride or die situation? That's quite a scary position to put yourself in, I get that. But we need to do it vulnerably, otherwise we really do jeopardize that connection even forming in the first place. Do you need to take some accountability in this situation? Perhaps you find yourself going for very similar people. Do you find yourself repeating very similar conversations, and do you feel like you're almost having deja vu? What kind of person are you going for? Are you going for the bad boy? Are you going for the person that is very kind of interested in themselves and not really that giving or caring or curious? It's really important that we notice ourselves, that we notice how we move and who we gravitate towards. What are you attracted to? Who are you attracted to? What traits do you find yourself being quite interested by? Why? How does that make you feel in yourself? If you think that you have a kind of problematic type, I encourage you to kind of list how you want to feel, how you want your partner to make you feel, how you want that relationship to look, what kind of things you want to do together. And then try and think of a kind of person that you want to attract off the back of that. I think ideally we want to attract people, partners, friends that are going to allow us to thrive, that are going to give us space to be ourselves and grow, and are also going to do the same themselves. And I know it's really easy for me to say, question your type and question who you're going for. It's a lot harder to change who you're attracted to, but honestly, just being honest about it and vocalizing the kind of people you're going for and trying to unpick why and how they make you feel, and then kind of, you know, thinking about what you want for yourself in the future, having this dialogue with yourself or with friends will really help you open your mind. You deserve someone who is going to ask you really good questions, who is going to show interest when you are excitedly talking about something or sharing something that's happened to you that's cool. You deserve somebody who can be vulnerable with you and who is trying to grow themselves and become a better person. I realise that we might go for these people, these bad boys, these not very nice people, because we don't feel like we deserve good people, because we don't really know how to navigate in a healthy way. But I'm telling you, you can get to that place. It just takes a bit of time, a bit of maybe therapy and journaling, or just talking with our friends to uncover what exactly is going on and how exactly we are feeling, and maybe how our childhood even has affected where we're at now and how we're navigating in our relationships, in the dating world. I do think our childhood experiences really impact what we look for in partners and what we want to feel in relationships. We get comfortable with things that we're used to. Even if the thing that we're used to is uncomfortable and painful, we seek what we're used to. And you might be seeking in the people that you're attracted to familiar relationships, familiar feelings. Even if they're bad, they're all you know and they're what you're used to. So you might be seeking that on a subconscious level. But hopefully it's not subconscious anymore. Now, the last thing I want to say to you women, or non-binary folks, or anyone who just needs this message, to be honest, it's important to find your no. It's important to find what you want from relationships rather than just want them to want you. I know so many of us have been taught to say yes and be agreeable and to, you know, particularly with men, soothe their egos and not embarrass them. So it's very hard to say no and to be like, actually, do I want to date you? It's very hard to come from that place of, well, what's going to make me comfortable? Because we've never been taught to focus on our comfort. We've been taught to focus on other people's comfort. But you deserve to focus on your comfort, especially when it comes to letting people into your life, when it comes to letting in new friends and partners. When you go on those dates, I want you to think, do I actually want to spend time with you? You might fancy me, you might not. That doesn't matter. Do I fancy you? And if that's, you know, not an obvious yes, then listen to that instinct. Listen to your body. How does that person make you feel? Saying no comes from a place of respect for yourself and for other people. I've been in situations before with men that I have not been interested in even talking to, never mind flirting with, where I've kind of just told myself, you just have to make them comfortable. You don't want them to feel rejected, so you just have to flirt. You have to put yourself in this uncomfortable position because you don't say no, Alessia. I've had that dialogue in my head before, and it's something that's really hard to remove, that pressure to make men comfortable, to not make men feel like you're rejecting them. Their egos are super important. That's what we're taught. It's really hard to move away from that, but you can. And I'm every day becoming more and more comfortable with my nose. And I'm certainly going to do a video on this soon. I don't know what I'm going to title it, maybe how to be more assertive or something, but I think it's something I really want to help women in particular get comfortable with rejecting men. You can reject people too, you know. I have created a self-love and decentering men program, so if you want those resources and you want to connect with me on that basis, my email's in the description box. Pop me an email and we can talk about it and I can share more details with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, my lovelies. So much love to you all.